Yo, what is going on, boys? It's your boy Wish You Luck here, back at it again with another YouTube video. In today's video, I wanted to discuss the gun we all know as the Last Word. It seems that a lot of people come to my channel often and ask me, well, Wish, why don't you use the Last Word? Why is it that every time I see the top tier players in the world use the Last Word, you don't seem to be one using it? First off, I'm not a top tier player. I'm far from it. I'm awful at Destiny. But secondly, one thing you've always kind of heard me preach in my channel has always been consistency. I've always enjoyed consistency. It's why I use pulse rifles. They're the most consistent guns in the game in terms of hit registration, correct? We can all agree on that. And coming over from year 1 to year 2 Destiny, all year 1 players have started to realize that, well, the Last Word isn't the same. The Last Word was a lot better in year 1, and never missed. Last Word in year 1, the registration was so freaking amazing. You could pull the trigger across map, like on Widow's Court, you could pull the trigger and you'd hit 100% of the time, every time. Was that a little bit overpowered? Absolutely. I always said the Last Word needed a range nerf, but I don't think it ever needed a hit detection nerf. Like I said, if anyone's ever played in year 1, you know what happened to the Last Word should be a crime. So people always ask me, they say, Wish, why don't you use the Last Word? And it's just, to be quite honest, I think it's very idiotic to use the Last Word unless you play on top of other players. Like, there's certain guns that play well for certain play styles. Universal Remote, you kind of need to be on top of people. Doctrine, you kind of need to be on top of people. Hawksaw, you need to be medium range. Hand cannons, you need to be close to medium range. The thing about the Last Word is you have to be on top of a person for it to be effective. You just have to be. And the only time you'll ever see a Last Word be able to shoot medium to long range is when that person is host of the lobby. Now, a lot of people don't understand what host means in Destiny, and host is actually extremely prevalent. Anyone who played Halo back in the day knows that when someone had host, everyone knew that person had host. Like, their shots were connecting at a ridiculously alarming rate. They would shoot you at any distance and hit every single bullet. Well, that's what makes the Last Word great. It gives the gun an amazing feel. You're like, holy crap, this gun is great. But every time you seem to ask a Last Word user, yo, why do you use that gun? Doesn't it like have a lot of phantom bullets? They always say the same thing. They say, yeah, it kind of works sometimes. I'm sorry, but that has to be like the dumbest thing ever. Saying, oh yeah, I use this gun, but it only works a couple times. It only works like 5 times out of 10 or 3 times out of 10. Doesn't that seem a little bit ridiculous that you're settling for a gun that doesn't necessarily do the job all the time? But like, what's the reason for settling on it? I don't understand. I've never understood the logic as to why you have to use the Last Word. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure, some of the best players would argue that it's still an amazing weapon, and I think, like I said, the Last Word on a good connection is phenomenal. But for me personally, I'd rather use an IS Luna. I'd rather use a Hawksaw. Shit, I'd rather use a Doctrine before I use the Last Word. I don't like knowing, or I don't want to have that underlying feeling in the back of my mind that if I don't tap this weapon or if I don't get really close to my opponent, that my shots aren't going to register. I'd much rather just use my shotgun if I have to be up close to someone. The Last Word is a perfect weapon for people who like to play kind of passive-aggressive. It's a really good gun for people who don't necessarily close the distance well. So they allow the opponent to close the distance, and then they simply hold their trigger down from the hip. I don't know. I just wanted to give my my 2 cents on the Last Word and why I personally don't use it. Feel free to chime in the comment section if you are an avid Last Word user and you do use it every game. I just don't see the point. I don't see how the hell you could. I don't see how you could even be consistent. I've noticed that a lot of the people that come do my Patreon lessons, because I do lessons in Destiny. If you're interested, head on over to the chat, or I'll just leave the Patreon in the description box below. You can check out all the things that we offer with Patreon. A lot of the people that ask me for lessons via Patreon, they're always asking me like, Wish, what do I need to do to become more consistent of a player? And I'm just like, dude, take off the Last Word. Like, when you speak consistency, The last word should be the last weapon you're using if you want to be a consistent player. And the Year 3 Thorn is coming. Year 3 Thorn, in my opinion, is going to be a much more viable option than a last word. It's just one of those guns that kind of leaves your opponents reeling for a while. Doesn't allow their recovery stat to really do anything considering they're burning. And it's definitely a much more, I guess, utility helpful, much more utility rambunctious weapon than a last word is. But yeah, feel free to chime in the comment section below. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on the last word and see how you guys felt about it. As always, it's your boy, Wish You Luck, signing out. Peace.